Hey there, friends and foes. Good morning, Multiverse. This is Back of the Cereal Box, the pop culture podcast that celebrates the fun of the Saturdays of our youth. I am your host, the prophet of pop culture, John Pica. You can call me Johnny. And this morning, we are going to be talking about the 1986 animated classic, The Transformers, the movie. And we are going to do that right after this from DL Memphis and the Murdering Crows.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss, Johnny Carson and Mickey Mouse. The first star was James Dean. Elvis Presley, yeah, he's still the king. Some things are only imitatable. You can't beat an original.
All right, friends and foes, good morning, Multiverse. This is Back of the Cereal Box. We are called Back of the Cereal Box because when I was a kid, we didn't have iPhones or tablets at the breakfast table on Saturday morning, or any morning for that matter. And so we were reading the back of the cereal box. That was our newspaper. That was our world. And in between big bowls of cereal, cartoons, comic books, and kaiju movies, we were reading the back of the cereal box. And that's what this show is all about, those Saturday mornings of our youth. And to help us along the way this morning, and this is a journey between you and I and our co-host, you can join the chat and be a part of the show, like Willow Schuyler this morning, who says, "Good morning, everyone." She is sick with COVID, but she will be joining us in the chat as we go through the show this morning, and you can join us too. But before we even get to that, we have to welcome my co-host, the incredible cosplayer, photographer, actress, the one, the only, AC Kindred, Aubrey Cavett.
Good morning, everybody.
So,
it's morning, right?
Yeah, it is morning, and I am, you guys, I'm so exhausted. It has been a whirlwind couple of weeks with HoloCon, and then start of open enrollment for healthcare.gov, and that's my day job. And then last week was Gallatin Comic-Con, and Aubrey, I was so glad that you were able to finally do a bigger convention with me, because the last couple of conventions have been pretty small.
But okay. This one, were great.
Yeah, they were great. Lots of fun, but small. And this one was about, according to the news, about 3,000 people showed up. And
no way! That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you did a phenomenal Poison Ivy cosplay, and I posted some of those pictures. I need to post the rest of them on the Facebook page. But you look so amazing. You couldn't take 3 steps without someone stopping you for a picture. It was pretty amazing.
It was great.
Yeah, and my wife Lorna got to hang out with you and talk with you. Now,
awesome.
For those of you who don't know, my wife has gone to one con with me 30 years ago, right after we got married. I dragged her along to meet my idol, John Byrne. She hated every minute of it. And so she was not excited about coming to Gallatin Comic-Con, but she did it because she wanted to meet John Schneider, Bo Duke of the Dukes of Hazzard. It was her first teenage crush, or childhood crush. And she got to meet him. He hugged her. He pressed her head into his chest for the photo. She was on cloud 9. It was epic. And then he saw me standing there, and he's like, "Whoa, what's that? what's that jacket about? You know, I was wearing the Comic-Con jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, well, I'm doing some magic here at the show and yada, yada. He goes, really? And turns out John Schneider is a magician
Oh,
and
no way.
has
Cool.
an incredible library. And so we talked for about 5 minutes about that. And I felt really bad because other people were standing in line and finally said, hey, John, I don't want to take up these other people's times. I love this conversation, but these other folks need to see you. And he's like, oh, okay. Great guy. John Schneider is maybe the coolest Comic-Con guest I've ever met. And I would love to be able to sit down and spend more time with him. So did you know who those actors were from the Dukes of Hazzard? Are you old enough to remember the Dukes of Hazzard?
I actually watched a few episodes, Johnny. Yeah.
Did you really?
I did know who the Dukes of Hazzard were. I have to say Daisy is always going to be my hardcore favorite as far as actors goes, because I feel like she had a lot more costume wardrobe specialties to deal with. Those Daisy Dukes. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Daisy from those Daisy Dukes.
And she looked amazing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No airbrushing there. And you know,
last weekend at 70 years old, she looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was amazing. So
my
anyway,
favorite part actually was meeting the voice from Peanuts.
Oh yeah, my friend, our friend Patricia Patz,
Mm-hmm.
she co-hosted this show with me live from Rathacon earlier this year. So yeah, she's amazing. She lives here in Middle Tennessee. She was in Hendersonville and she just moved out to Franklin. Amazing. Well, hey, let's get this show underway because we're going to be talking about the Transformers movie. But before we even do that, we have to acknowledge that awesome theme song was brought to us by D.L. Memphis and the Murdering Crows. You can get their album on Amazon, iTunes, Google, or anywhere you buy music. And, of course, our Cereal Box super friends, Eli Cash, Cindy Kep, Sharice Collins, Dave Mattingly. And we have a brand new patreon.com site. You can still contribute to Buy Me a Coffee. That is going to be the new the network page, but just specifically for Back of the Cereal Box, patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. And one of the reasons why we made that change, Aubrey, is because Patreon allows you to do some more fan interactive features, and in particular to do a custom RSS feed. So we are going to be doing custom episodes, special episodes, and when we get to our 3-year anniversary on December 2nd, which is also the day after my birthday, we are going to make some big announcements about some format changes to the show that fans are going to love. But the first thing we have to do, you'll notice the new show card title. We got to ask, what's in the bowl? And this morning, I am enjoying the last remnants of the 2-year-old box of Frosted Flakes. Now, I don't know if this speaks to the quality or the chemicals, but this box of cereal is 2 years old, and I tried some earlier this morning just to make sure it wasn't going to be poisoned. It's delicious. It tastes fresh as a daisy. I can't complain about this. Now, what do you think, Aubrey? Quality or chemicals?
Call it a little bit of both.
Because I opened the box, and the bag was still open inside. Hadn't even been sealed.
Oh.
They're not stale at all.
What? Oh,
yeah.
That might be chemicals, Johnny. Make sure to take your vitamins. Kids, take your vitamins, okay? We took our Flintstone vitamins, if our parents could afford it, for an apple every day. So kids, if you're listening, or young adults, go get yourself some vitamins. I mean, if we took them when we were younger, obviously we still need them a little bit.
I pound down vitamin C like it's going out of style. But listen, Frosted Flakes is in my top 5 greatest cereals of all time. I love it. The sweet corn. Now, do you have anything this morning, Aubrey?
I it's one of those mornings where I really don't have a classic cereal option because I have ADHD and I get bored. But we're also doing Transformers, so it's kind of super sci-fi because 2005. I'm just saying that's the big year in the movie. But guys, I'm gonna have something weird this morning. It's called Simply Protein, and I'm gonna turn this into cereal this morning with my soy milk because it looks
So
like
are
a
we?
Energon bar.
Oh no! Oh no! So Aubrey is about to ask of the Simply Protein bar, will it cereal?
Mm.
And I'm
because
making a prediction that the answer is no.
well, we have 2 different flavors today. We
But we
have
will find out.
dark chocolate sea salt. Oh boy. And then peanut butter chocolate. So, well,
Now we did.
for anybody listening, that's what the little crackling is this little packages.
Now we did find out that Kind bars
Mhm.
cereal really well, but I'm not sure. Kind bars are delicious.
Okay.
I'm not sure
so
about this brand.
breaking up this little, and it's okay. It's not that dry. It's actually really easy to break up one-handed. So that's a good start. Okay. And because I do have a little bit of issue with my left arm from my car wreck still, I'm gonna eat with my left arm. Let's see. I'm right-handed. We're gonna try this out.
All right, she's trying the Simply Protein bar in the bowl with milk. This is the chocolate sea salt. She does not have a pleasurable face or look on her face.
Okay. So there's like 3
Mm-hmm.
layers of flavor here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first layer of flavor is good. If you can stop chewing at the first layer of flavor, it might be better. I think that's why it's a granola bar. But once the chocolate coating comes off of it, it's more of a challenge. Future
Well,
food.
so those protein bars are processed bricks, and there's different kind of chemicals in those, but that chemical flavor is really strong on some of those.
I need more milk.
Well, let me just tell you, Frosted Flakes cereal milk, delicious.
Yep, Johnny. I think I think your choice today is better, but because I can't take this episode without a box, I'm just going to use my leftovers from the Great Pumpkin.
There you go.
These were sealed up still, and still crunchy.
There you go. There you go. So, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be on the hunt for Christmas cereals.
Ooh.
So, because it is officially the Christmas season in our house, and it started November 1st is the Christmas season start for us. So,
Okay.
super excited about Christmas cereals over the next couple of weeks.
Wait, Johnny, are you already listening to Christmas music?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I am.
Okay, I love that we're on a
Absolutely.
different side of this aisle because it makes it more entertaining for our audience. Because really, I'm quite the opposite. As you guys know, I had a late Halloween party this year. So this is part of the last day's Halloween party decorations. Just happens to be perfect for Transformers. But I'm just saying,
Transformers.
my fall isn't going to go down until the 5th day of December. Controversial, I know.
Well, now we celebrate Halloween pretty hard in our house too.
Mhm.
In our whole neighborhood, it is a thing, and it starts September 1st
Mhm.
in our neighborhood. So we have 2 months of Halloween, and then it's only fair that Christmas starts November 1st.
Only
And if you came through our neighborhood, the houses are decorated, the displays are up. It's amazing. I love it. Hey, we got some viewer listener comments, so let's welcome some of our viewers. We got Tabby Cat joining us saying good morning Tabitha, and Andrew Milden, morning Boxaholics, and Dave Mattingly says the chat is filled with my friends. Dave Mattingly also said, my wife tried a couple of cons with me early on and didn't come back to any more until Henry Winkler was a guest. And she was thrilled to meet him. Henry the Fonz, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so that was the same experience here. And my wife still is not happy with me. Even though she got to meet John Schneider, she feels like I dragged her to this, geek fest. And I did, but it was for her. I wanted to show her a grand time of meeting her childhood crush. But it wasn't until the end of the day that she actually got to meet him. And so she had to endure us weirdos all morning.
Okay, so I do have to ask our audience, what is in your bowl this morning? Are you guys eating? Are you fasting? Okay, that's a thing now, right? Like people fast. Are you eating cereal? Are you eating a granola bar? Are you having protein? And Johnny, when can we talk about what's in our box?
In just a moment, after we get through some of these comments.
Okay.
So Marissa Henderson says, good morning, Aubrey. Cartoon Commotion says, hiya, homies. Good morning.
Gosh. Hi, Cade.
And Jason XO659. Peter Cullen is receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award for voicing Optimus Prime. Autobots, transform and roll out.
I mean, he deserves it,
And Tabby Cat says, Jason is here, my awesome Transformers guru friend. Well, I'm glad you're a Transformers guru, Jason, because you're not going to be happy with me.
Okay, well, school us if you have to. We don't mind.
Yeah. Cartoon Commotion says, whoa, nice. He should, Jason. And Jason says Frosted Flakes is banned in Japan. Probably because...
those preservatives.
But it's delicious.
It is delicious.
And look, I don't eat Frosted Flakes every day. I eat Frosted Flakes like once a quarter. I've had this box for 2 years and just now finishing it. So I only eat bad cereal, but I only eat fun cereal. Let's put it that way. I only eat fun cereal on Saturday mornings during this show. Mm-hmm. And that's important to me though. So do not yuck my yum.
Well,
now I got to point out
as far as a rating here.
Yeah. Frosted Flakes for me is 5 out of 5 bowls of cereal, hands down, period. What about you?
Actually, I think these are a little bit better as far as protein bars go for a cereal, surprisingly.
All right. So out of 5 bowls, what would you give it?
A protein bar. So probably I'd say about 2 bowls if you're going to use a good flavored milk and maybe throw in a little cereal at the end.
Yeah. So 2 bowls. That's not good, Aubrey. That's not a good rating.
It's still bowls.
All right. By the way, on the back of this cereal box, not a whole lot of excitement, but there is a QR code that people can scan to download to get rewards and support school sports. So you remember when we were kids, you used to tear off the box tops and you I don't know, you would, they would donate money to schools if you collected so many of them. I never did it. I was a little bit, I don't know. Anyway, this one, same thing. Now it's a QR code. So,
cool.
Yeah, but, so Dave Mattingly, Jason says that he is a Transformers collector. All right, excellent. And Dave Mattingly says, Me to the mechanic. Can I get a quote? Mechanic. To be or not to be? Me. No, I meant for the car. Mechanic. Okay, Autobots roll out. You know, I
Going
can
with
do that pretty
Spencer.
good in the morning before my voice is stretched out. Now, if it were later at night after I've, talked all day, I couldn't even begin to come close to those lower notes. If you saw my reel on Facebook, from Thursday night, I was singing Kansas like at a third above what they sang it. Come sail away, come sail away. Anyway, love that song. And Cartoon Commotion says, "Ha, good one, Dave." Very funny. He is the smartest guy I know. So, our next segment is brought to you by my book series, Tales of the Decoverse, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Volume 3 of the Prose series is coming out very soon. It was supposed to be in September. It's been delayed. Very soon. But this is the segment of the show where we pull the cereal box prizes out of the cereal box, what we call new loot. Because when we were kids, it wasn't just about the cereal. It was about reaching in and getting the prize in the cereal box. And Aubrey, I told you that Christmas starts early in our house. And I don't know if you guys have seen these, but a couple of years ago, Hasbro released holiday special Black Series action figures, Star Wars action figures. And this year, it was just a handful, just a few. This year, they've released an entire line, and my son picked up the first one. This is the holiday special Speeder Scout, or Scout Trooper rather, from The Mandalorian, because he's got little baby Yoda in the pouch from where he stole him. And so he's wearing a baby Yoda Christmas sweater.
He's got an ugly sweater on. That's great.
Yeah. Now I really want the Christmas Boba Fett, but so those of you who are looking for a Christmas gift for Johnny or a birthday present for December 1st, I would love to get more of the holiday special edition Black Series figures from Hasbro. Hasbro, if you're watching, this would be a great Christmas gift for Johnny, because I promote your product so much
all the time.
Even though I get frustrated with Hasbro and their distribution. I love their product. Hasbro, make Johnny a lifelong fan. Send him a whole case of the holiday series. Now, I got one other prize in the box, Aubrey, and this is going to play directly into our theme. So I'm going to show it now. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
But this is the graphic novel Transformers Last Bot Standing. I read this maybe 6 months ago. I didn't really understand the backstory, but now I do. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So, what is in your cereal box?
So, in theme. Woohoo!
Oh, look.
I got him. Ultra Magnus. I just happened to find him. I'm not joking. Like, I do not have figurines. I've told you guys before. This is my first one. I had one.
Where did you find him?
Well, at a thrift store. Dug him out of a bin, actually. My friend, our audience member, Tabby Cat, helped me find, and we went on a search to find. I wanted specifically one of the good guys, because I just have to say that as a kid, Megatron gave me nightmares. I'm not gonna lie. So
Really?
I couldn't find our top guy, but I could find Ultra Magnus. So he's a comfort while I watch the movie.
All right. I can dig that. I love that. So have you been able to transform him?
Okay, so he is a little older. He was well loved, but ooh,
Okay. Oh,
we got him almost completely. His arms don't want to not stick out. So let me know, guys, if that was intentional. But he's pretty
well,
much.
Jason is watching. He can probably help you with that.
There he is, Ultra Magnus, and then back again. And
Yeah.
let's talk about leadership roles in this movie.
Well, we will in just a moment. Now, before we get to our main topic, I just want to go through a few more audience comments, and then you guys comment as we talk about Transformers, the movie. Yeah, so Dave Mattingly's quote from the mechanic, Autobots roll out. Tabby Cat says, LOL, Dave, that's great. Andrew Milden says, Dave, that's gold. And then Dave says, if I'm the smartest guy you know, you need to meet more guys. And Jason says about our new loot, that's so cool. I don't know if he's talking about your Magnus, about my Holiday Black Series, or Last Spot Standing, but they're all real cool. So we're just going to take it as a blanket statement. And Dave Mattingly says talking about Transformers is fine, but don't mention GoBots. They killed Drax the Destroyer's cousin. All right, so I don't know what that means. Dave, I need some more context on that because I'm very tired. My brain is fried. I'm probably missing something that is obvious to any comic book fan. But Song Swap Showdown, it's Chris Vaglio. He says, I just checked the Big Lots by me for Batman figures. No. So what he's talking about is the Big Lots exclusive Mego figures. They did the Adam West Batman, and they did the Max Fleischer cartoon Superman, along with the Burt Ward Robin, and a variant of the Joker. Instead of having white hands, he has purple hands. Who cares? But those I mean, okay, he's got purple gloves on, is what it is. But that's the only difference. The other three are significantly different, and they're Big Lots exclusives, and they're impossible to find. And the people who are finding them, all right, you guys, I'm going to get on a soapbox for just a minute here.
Uh-oh.
So the people who are finding them in Big Lots, now understand that Mego is a nostalgic brand. It was part of my childhood. I'm obsessed with Megos. I had every one they ever made. I've been on the hunt for these figures. Can't find them anywhere. And the people who are finding them are posting in the Facebook groups for Mego collectors that they found them, but then they buy the entire case. And they leave none for anybody else. Now, a case is only 9 figures. Okay, it's only 9, but each Big Lots store is only getting 1 case. That's it. They're not going to be able to reorder. They're not going to have more. They made a limited run, 9 figures each store. That's it. And so we got these collectors who are, basically scalpers, going in, buying the entire 9-figure case, taking a picture, posting it online. I found them and I took them all. And I'm like, that is the douchiest douchebag move I've ever seen. And then you know what they're doing. They're turning around and they're selling them on eBay for $60, $80, $100 a piece.
Okay, now our parents taught us about this, guys. Finders keepers isn't always nice if you keep all of it.
No. And Dave Mattingly says, Chris, is there an Ollie's in your area?
Ooh.
And I love Ollie's, but Ollie's does not have any of the Migos. But, oh my gosh, you guys, if you were into Hasbro, Marvel Legends, or Star Wars Black Series, Ollie's is a treasure trove right now. Because there are figures that are hitting Ollie's discounted between $4.99 and $9.99 that never made it to Walmart or Target or Meijer shelves.
Ooh.
Listen, I went into Ollie's the other day, and there was a Target exclusive, the Captain Carter stealth suit figure. It was a Target exclusive. Never saw it in the store, in the wild. I actually ended up buying it from a secondhand dealer online for $50. It retailed at $22. I bought it for $50 because I wanted it. And Ollie's had an entire case of them marked down to $4.99.
Oh.
They never hit the shelves at Target. They were never opened. And Ollie's just bought the entire unopened stock from Target. And now there are these entire cases of this limited edition Target exclusive figure at Ollie's. That's a whole nother soapbox that I don't want to get on.
Johnny, I really hate and love when you tell me Ollie's deals, because I got one like right across the street. And it's, see, I got to hold on to my pennies for Christmas. But
he rolled out. Tabby Cat says, I like finding stuff at the bottom of rando thrift store bins. See, I don't have the patience for that. I don't.
Fun. It's like digging for treasure.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, okay. Now I remember this. Dave gives me context. In the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, Mantis and Drax came to Earth and saw some cosplayers. One was a GoBot, and Drax attacked him. Mantis explained that GoBots killed his cousin. Wait, killed whose cousin? I'm still confused, Dave. I remember that scene, but I don't. Okay. All right. So Chris says, I'm so excited of this conversation. Transformers, the movie, is one of the most traumatizing films I've ever seen as a kid. Saw that in the theaters and was shell-shocked afterwards. So this is a great segue. We are here to talk about this morning our Saturday matinee movies. These movies that we either saw on a Saturday matinee in the theater or that we saw on VHS, popping them into the VHS in the living room, on the floor with a blanket and a bunch of beanbag chairs and pillows. And it is brought to you by nightlyspirits.com, promo code JohnP667. And listen, the Christmas season is a perfect time to take a ghost tour because there'll be thrilling ghost stories
and tales of the glories
of Christmases long, long ago. So we are here talking about Saturday matinee movies, and we are talking about the 1986 animated movie, The Transformers.
Woohoo! You want to talk about some music? Music, guys, music. That is what 80s had, okay? We had rockin' music with our animation.
So let's do the tale of the tape, okay? The Transformers, the movie, is a 1986 animated science fiction action film based on the Transformers television series. It was released in North America on August 8th, 1986, and in the United Kingdom on December 12th, 1986. It was co-produced and directed by Nelson Shin, who also produced the television series. The screenplay was written by Ron Friedman, who created the Bionic Six a year later. By the way, Bionic Six is on our list for next season. Ooh. Now, it was obviously based on the Transformers toys by Hasbro. And
the series was already out before the movie.
Yeah. So the TV series had been before this movie. The movie was put out to refresh the IP because sales had started to dwindle. And so Hasbro and Marvel Productions, it was produced by Marvel Productions and Sunbow Animation, Um, they decided to release the movie to refresh the brand and listen to some of the voice actors that appeared in this. Um, Judd Nelson.
Mhm,
You remember Judd Nelson from The
mhm.
Breakfast Club
I'm just
and
like looking at the
St.
list because I
Elmo's
wrote it
Fire?
too.
Leonard Nimoy,
Oh,
Robert Stack,
I
and one of my idols, Orson Welles. And
Ooh, and Frank
do you
Welker. And Frank
what's
Welker.
that?
Frank Welker.
Well, yes, but they were already normal voice cast members.
I know, but as a
These,
Transformers fan, you gotta love that voice being in there because
yeah,
he's the voice of so many more things.
yeah, he was the voice of Fred on Scooby Doo.
Hmm.
Um, but here's the thing. This was Orson Welles'
Hmm.
final film role.
Yep, it was.
And Orson Welles is a hero of mine. I love him. Um, and he died actually 10 months before the film's release. So,
I did not know that. Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, the soundtrack is fire. It includes rock and songs from rock and heavy metal acts.
hmm.
The original music was composed by Vince DiCola, and it includes Stan Bush and Weird Al Yankovic,
Eric
who
Idle.
what's that?
Eric Idle's in here too.
Yeah, Eric Idle was one of the voice actors. Now I don't know
Mhm.
Eric Idle.
Mm.
What else did he do?
Good stuff. Good stuff.
But okay, as
Hmm.
Aubrey mentioned, the story is set in 2005, 20 years after the TV series' second season. After a Decepticon assault devastates Autobot City, Optimus Prime wins a deadly duel with Megatron, but ultimately sustains fatal injuries in the encounter. And with Megatron gravely injured, the Decepticons are forced to retreat. The Autobots are hunted across the galaxy by Unicron, a planet-sized transformer intending to consume Cybertron, and um, he transfigures Megatron to become the enslaved Galvatron. And so here's the part that Chris says traumatized him.
Mm.
Within the first 20 minutes of the movie, Optimus Prime is killed by Megatron.
And as a watcher of that, as a child, I was 6 years old when this movie came out. So devastating. Again, we're going back to the same thing we talked about when we were watching Secret of Nim. As an adult, the impact is so light on the intensity and the darkness. But for this, again, we're going back to like 80s grittiness. Not only did we lose Optimus Prime, but we also had the only other human, because we only have two humans in this movie. A lot of people don't talk about that as much. They had staff, they had people that worked with them, human beings. They were on our planet, for a reason. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, we have a young man whose father was basically, as far as we know, killed for a large part of this movie. He's gone. A human died and Optimus Prime died. Yeah, as a little 6-year-old, you're like shaking in your boots, like, and then Unicron. He's like a force to be reckoned with. He's enormous. He just sucks everything up in the beginning of the movie. You're like, as a little kid, you're like, oh, it's space. It's so pretty. Look at this floating planet. And then all of these robots that have this pretty little life, and they have normal lives where they're going to work and little kids, and they get sucked up into this giant ball of Unicron that is just doesn't care. He's just oh my god. As a little kid, as a 6-year-old, even a 10-year-old, you're like, ooh. So, first of all, the fact that Orson Welles is Unicron, epic, like you said, Johnny. But the fact that we have Eric Idle, which Monty Python,
Okay.
there you go. There you go. I just wanted to give you a minute, but just in case, because I'm a huge Monty Python fan.
See,
You know what I'm doing right now. I have no
I
force.
wasn't so much. I'm a fan of Christopher Guest and John Cleese, and that's about the extent of my Monty Python fandom.
And Leonard Nimoy. I mean, the Leonard Nimoy. Okay, I've never, as that age, I only seen him in Spock reruns. I was a Star Trek kid. Like, yes, at 6 years old, I had seen Star Trek. I'm a Trekkie, whatever. Star Wars. I'm a little bit of a geek, but to hear him be the bad guy, come on, no, bad guy. And then you have a power struggle with Megatron and Ultra Magnus and Unicron. Like, it's once we lose Optimus Prime, it's like this void of power, and all of these powerful guys are like all at once.
But let's talk about that for a minute, because Magnus, what is his actual name? Magnus.
Ultra Magnus.
Ultra Magnus.
Ultra Magnus.
Okay, so let's set this up. We talked about this before we went on air. I'm gonna make a lot of our audience a little bit angry, upset. I was never, and still am not, a Transformers fan. I understand why people like it. I understand that it has, like rabid fans who love it, and really, like just hardcore collectors. I get all of that, but as a kid, I wasn't drawn to the Transformers. I didn't understand why giant superpowered robots needed to transform to be hidden to begin with. It made no sense to me that Optimus Prime should have to transform into a truck and back and go back and forth. And while I was watching this movie, I had the same thought, because they would transform back and forth, and I just was like, I don't get it. And I know as a kid, a lot of boys thought that was just the coolest of the cool. I just never got it. I never understood the logic behind it. But that aside, I never really watched the Transformers animated cartoon because I wasn't a fan. I never collected the toys. I never had a Transformer toy. I did have a GoBot that was given to me because my aunt thought, Transformers are hot for, little boys, and my nephew would love this. And he got beat up by Luke Skywalker all the time. But I just wasn't a fan. So I had never seen this movie until this week. Now, so I was lost for a lot of this movie. I didn't know, they didn't explain Autobot City. I didn't understand why the boy was hanging out with the Autobots. I didn't know that his father was like a manservant to the Autobot. I didn't know what was going on. Okay. I just, there was so much that the producers assumed the audience already knew because it was coming out of the TV series that I had a hard time getting into this. Now, I will say that some of the animation is among the prettiest animation I've ever seen. Some of it. But there's some parts of it that it's no better than the TV series was. And, it's very obvious to me, watching it now in 2023, that in 1986, it was kind of cobbled together by different animation studios, and there was varying quality throughout. Now, that being said, I thought the story was really dragged out. I thought this story should have been 30 minutes. This should have been a single 30-minute episode of the TV show. And they stretched it out into a 2-hour movie. And for me, I know people are going crazy in the chat. I can tell. For me, the only redeeming thing about this movie was that the soundtrack was fire. The soundtrack is epic. I'm going to buy this on vinyl today. Barnes & Noble has the soundtrack on vinyl, and I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go get it today because the soundtrack was epic. It was great. Now, I want to address the trauma of Optimus Prime dying. So, as I watched this, because I was not a fan to begin with, I was like, oh, Optimus Prime died. I wonder what happens next. That was the extent of my emotion. And then Ultra Magnus was absolutely the worst choice to take the leadership role. He failed. He got destroyed. But I know everyone's freaking out at my comments. But I said I read this graphic novel, Last Bot Standing. And at the time, it didn't really make sense because this is about Hot Rod. Hot Rod, at the end of this movie, becomes the new Prime. And he becomes the new leader of the Autobots. And this series picks up thousands of years later. And Hot Rod, who is referred to as the Prime, is in hiding. And apparently he's the last of the Autobots still alive. And there's a new group of Decepticons that are trying to find the last of the Energon in this series. And they have discovered him, they've tracked him down, and he's no longer Hot Rod, he is Rodimus Prime. And I never understood how we got here until this movie. And now I understand how we got here. And this story is actually a really great, fun story. But again, the writers assumed way too much. They assumed that I knew this property before I started reading this book. The makers of this movie assumed I knew the TV series before the movie. That always irritates me. I just got to tell you guys, as a fan, that irritates the fire out of me. So that's my soapbox. That's my rant. Aubrey, you add commentary because we got comments that we are going to have to deal with.
Okay. I have to say I am, of course, not always, but on the opposite side of the aisle. I hate when you have an IP or a world of fantasy, and then as a watcher of the series, they just reiterate the same thing from like the last 3 seasons that nobody saw because nobody was watching. Meanwhile, as a hardcore fan, I am gripping on the edge of my seat. I get this new movie. I'm thinking it's a continuation of the storyline, and it's a repeat of everything I have already seen in a much more compact version. And I'm like, so I'm on the opposite side of the aisle, Johnny. I understand where you're coming from because if I'm going into a new world I've never met, it is nice to have an introduction. And I say to that, go watch the series.
Well, okay.
You know, it's not for everybody, but I'm saying in this case, I feel like they didn't reiterate and it was good. But because of that, it was also so good because there was a shocking element to it. Like they said, we were traumatized by the death of our hero, the only hero that seemed to be able to help everybody on Earth and their planet above. Like, it was helping everybody, and he respected humans, and he was, you know, a good leader on all sides. Okay, power matrix. We need to get to the power matrix, the matrix of leadership. I know we've got a lot of things, but I just want to say, Hot Rod touches it first. Yes, that is a good point. People have said this, and maybe it was a foreshadowing. You know, Hot Rod passing it from Optimus Prime to Ultra Magnus. I am not a mech fan, guys. I have said this repeatedly. I'm not a big monster mech fan, but if I could ever be one, it would be with Transformers. It just became like part of the 80s and 90s kids. Like,
you just froze up on us, Aubrey. Aubrey's on Wi-Fi this morning, so hopefully we'll catch her comments and just. Oh, you're back. You're unfrozen. You became catatonic for half a second.
Oh no. I have to say, I don't know where we got lost, but power matrix, the leadership, the matrix of leadership, very, very important. Unicron is wigged out by this thing, and there is a reason. There is so much power in this one little orb. And if you know, I know there's a specialist in the audience, please explain to me a little bit more as someone who loves the Transformers, but is not like huge on the lore. what is this made of? Is this just made of energon? Is it a condensed form of energon? Is it
Well,
super energon?
that's what I picked up, that it was an energon matrix. So I wasn't familiar with this concept. Was this part of the TV show as well, or was this introduced first for the first time in the movie?
I believe that the
The
leadership
power
matrix
matrix.
yeah, I believe that already existed.
Okay.
Mhm.
So so let's go through some of these audience comments and we'll address them, because you've got 2 pages of notes, Aubrey, so you'll be able to hang with some of these people. So Jason says, Song Swap Showdown, Chris Vaglio, it is one of my favorite movies, and I'm a Hot Rod Rodimus Prime fan. I am too, especially after reading The Last Bot Standing. Jason, if you've not read this and you're a Rodimus Prime fan, you're going to love this. Check it out. You can get it from a company called instocktrades.com. They are not a sponsor, but you can probably get this for under $10 from instocktrades.com. But Cartoon Commotion says Hot Rod is the worst. And Dave Mattingly says if RoboCop was a Transformer, his name would be Stoptimus Crime. That's amazing. That's amazing, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Tabby Cat says Dave has punny jokes this morning. Every morning, Tabby.
All the punnies.
Every morning. So Jason XO659 says Cartoon Commotion. I was 8 and he fired lasers out of his pipes on his arm and he didn't get Prime killed. The Hasbro execs did. So that's why Cartoon Commotion is saying Hot Rod is the worst, because he blames Hot Rod for the death of Optimus Prime. But I mean, Hot Rod didn't do that. He's right. The execs at Hasbro did, because they were trying to refresh this toy line.
Yeah,
and they felt like it had just been.
Hot Rod was shown as a little bit of a youngster and a hothead. I feel like, you've seen that he evolves into a better, more productive leader later.
Well, I will say that his character arc from when we first see him in this movie, and again, I don't know if he was on the TV show because I wasn't a fan of the TV show. So when we first meet Hot Rod to the end, his character arc is so substantial. He goes from basically the hot-headed rebel who won't listen to anyone or anything to being the anointed leader of the Autobots and really assuming that leadership role.
Yep, I agree.
And
Galvatron is a big part of this story, I feel like, because we've got Megatron getting killed right after he fights Optimus Prime. He basically is just tossed out of a ship by Starscream because, as a bad guy, Starscream, come on, that actor just did too good. Like, I remember Starscream before the movies, on the series. The actor who plays him, he's like, I can't remember. I didn't write down. If you know his name, great voices. He's got it on point, and he does such a good job that you really want to dislike this character. And for a villain, you need to want to dislike them to follow the story properly, and he's a great villain. Megatron, always so elegant. And then you've got Starscream that's just like, rah, rah, rah. The attitude is just everywhere.
Yeah, finally, we're free from Megatron. And he kicks him and he, throws him off the cliff. And
But, to see Megatron, who is usually our main bad guy, just cowed by Unicron, just begging. He is tortured in this movie. He is physically tortured. You see him say, no, I won't comply. And then, you see his head go down and he's in extreme pain. I submit. He's cowed by this bigger power than him. And then when Unicron transforms, but even all of that aside, we got to get some more comments. But come on, guys, Weird Al Yankovic dance party.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, so Cartoon Commotion. Speaking of Hot Rod, but he was also a terrible character, objectively speaking. He was a horrible leader and constantly wished that he wasn't the leader. Optimus Prime was sorely missed. Well, not to me, because I wasn't an Optimus Prime fan. It didn't have that impact on me at all. And I thought the character arc of Hot Rod becoming the leader that he didn't know that he could become was more engaging than any other part of this story. And Jason says Frank Welker voiced our entire childhood. Yes, he did. And Eric Idle was Monty Python, says Dave Mattingly. And Tabby Cat says, yes, Dave is right. Monty Python indeed. Just don't ask me the philosophy of an unladen swallow. Jason says, I think the recent IDW comics gave him a personality revamp and he was being mentored by Optimus Prime early on. He's talking about Hot Rod. So, Jason, did you read this series? This is published by IDW, this graphic novel. It was great. Dave Mattingly says, cartoon trauma? Let me tell you about Watership Down. Well, so
Dave, can't start this right now. Nope. That's a whole separate bag of, oh my gosh.
That is specifically why we are not going to be covering Watership Down on this show. It is one of the most divisive animated movies of our childhood. All right, so Cartoon Commotion says the executive decision to involve Hot Rod in his death at all is the curse that Hot Rod had to bear. That's only a portion of why Hot Rod is objectively terrible. And Song Swap Showdown says the Autobots were massacred. All of my favorites got killed.
Yeah, it was awful. There was a lot more than just our main guy that was attacked. It was a lot of death. I was like,
so who else
died? Oh,
yeah.
Get our specialist Jason down there to talk about. There is quite a list of names that we lost.
And Jason says there was a standing ovation in the theater I was in when Galvatron killed Starscream. Yeah. And yeah, so I did know this, that Scatman Carruthers, who did Hong Kong Phooey, voiced Jazz. And every time I hear that voice, I love it. I did that. And of course, Chris Vaglio mentions Orson Welles, my hero. Okay. Dave Mattingly is on the same page with me. Johnny, I never got big into the Transformers either. A few years after my time. See, that's kind of the thing. I was 16. I was into girls. I was into doing theater and getting my driver's license. It was just another thing for me.
And I was 6 years old and I was glued to the TV.
And Jason says, not a Transformers fan? You, sir, have insulted my integrity. I just, look, Starscream is a perfect example, okay? I don't understand why he needs to transform into an American-style fighter jet when he's already a giant robot that can fly. And here's the other thing. How do these robots from another planet, how do they just conveniently happen to transform into late model U.S. cars, planes, and trucks?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of timey-wimey stuff in here. If there's any Doctor Who fans, Transformers is very timey-wimey, I feel like.
I guess, and apparently on Cybertron, they had dinosaurs because we got the Dinobots.
Okay, so the supposedly the Transformers, we had our own dinosaurs. So correct me if I'm wrong. I'm okay if I am, but I'm pretty sure that's what the lore is robots and the Decepticons first crash landed after their planet was attacked. They were escaping. Supposedly, this is the lore that I am aware of, and they landed here like before humans were like
during the Jurassic Age.
Yeah. So there's a lot of way back machine. Using my new catchphrase.
Now I will say this. The latest Transformer movie, Rise of the Beast, horrible movie. However, it does explain this phenomenon of the various forms that they assume. And apparently the robots, they can like assume shapes to blend in with their surroundings at that time. That's why the beasts look like a rhinoceros and a gorilla and an eagle or pterodactyl or whatever it was. And yeah. And then I have a question. This female character, I forget her name, but was she part of the TV series or did she appear for the first time in this movie? Does anyone know?
I am unaware if she was part of the series. I do not remember her in the series. This is the first time I remember seeing her.
Because when she appeared in the new Transformers Rise of the Beasts movie, again, out of nowhere, like we're supposed to know who she was, and it was a big deal to movie fans that she was appearing on the big screen for the first time. So I don't know anything about her. See, okay. So Tabby Cat says, school him, y'all. Hey, that's why I'm doing this. Not just sharing with you guys things that we think that you should love and check out, but also for me to learn a little bit from you guys, because I'm not familiar with every subject. I'm not the expert in everything. So we had Chris Faglio says Brawn, Prowl, Ratchet, Ironhide, Wheeljack all got killed.
Yep.
And Chris says that film was awful. Yeah, talking about Rise of the Beasts, Bumblebee is the best Transformers live action film, and that movie is really good. The Bumblebee movie. Oh, okay. So Jason says the Dinobots were originally built on Earth by Ratchet and Wheeljack. In IDW continuity, they were captured and experimented on by Shockwave. Okay. And speaking of Bumblebee, it was directed by Travis Knight, who also directed Paranorman, that we loved and I considered maybe a perfect movie. Okay, so Cartoon Commotion says most all of the characters that were still living were new characters in this movie. She's RC is what she's called.
ARCEE.
So that makes sense because this movie was designed to reboot the franchise, to refresh it, to give it new life on the toy aisle shelves.
So what the info on that is that Rob Friedman's daughter protested to him that there were no women Transformers, so he added RC.
Okay. And she's just, there's no like proper introduction to her in this movie. She's just there.
Just an important part of the team.
Yeah. But again, no context. And someone did mention that so Cartoon Commotion says it's cool. I'm done with my ranty rant, but I highly recommend checking out the OG show, Johnny. It's phenomenal. Well, I just never got into it. So okay.
Please get to the Weird Al dance party, please?
Yeah. Hold on. I want to make sure that there's some great comments here. And okay, I want to make sure that we are covering them all. And so Cade added in, dude, the movie is so much better when you know the series. And back then they totally expected you to know the series. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the soundtrack was the star of the movie for sure. And so
it was.
And that plays into what I'm saying is that, you know, one of the complaints that the MCU movies have today is that you have to have watched like 30 movies before this latest one to understand what was going on. And like the Marvels did a fantastic job of dropping you into the world. They recapped everything that you need to know, like in like a minute. Mm-hmm. And once you had that frame of reference, it was a roller coaster ride that didn't stop. Great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen the Marvels, go see it. Um, and he says, Cartoon Commotion says all of that is explained in the first mini series, Johnny, about the leadership matrix. So, anyway, we're not going to get to all of these comments, unfortunately, but
we got a lot of participation today. Thank you for being here with us, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. But we do have to talk about that dance party, that robot dance party set to the Weird Al Yankovic movie.
Okay. So, Johnny, I don't know if anybody knows this. Not a lot of people know this, but I've listened to Weird Al Yankovic since I was like little. Okay. I love music and I love comedy. And you put those things together and just go on with yourself. I'm not going to focus on anything the rest of the day. So, Weird Al, if you ever happen to hear this, I'm a huge fan and I would love to meet you before I die or whatever happens first, you know? Anyway, so Weird Al Yankovic dance party at a trash planet with trash. I'm just saying, like, come on. Okay, the comedy of these people. And then, okay, I don't want to ruin it. If you haven't seen this movie, go see this movie because 86, man, you got time still, but why wait? The comedy in the moment and the silliness. That's the other thing. This might have darkness that kind of traumatized the little kids, but there was some levity in there that helped keep it going. There was some comedic moments. There was some escapes. There was some crazy. How did they even do that? And then, they don't even get off the planet before they're already found because Unicron wants to make sure that he lets everybody know that they're all destroyed. And then these trash people have this amazing dance party and they get a spaceship from out of the ground. Like they've already prepared ahead of time. They're like, we're going to be heroes. We're going to help you destroy this guy. Where did these people come from? Please, if you were a fan of this show, were the trash people around? Is there another name for them? I've forgotten already, but this trash planet with these amazing characters, and then the dinosaur gets a kiss on his nose. I'm just saying.
So the dinosaur got a kiss on the nose. Yes, that made all the sense in the world that robots can.
But it was adorable for kids.
I mean, look, they're fighting these trash robots to the death, and then all of a sudden, was it Hot Rod that could speak their language? Hot Rod could speak TV too, or was it the other one?
It was Cup, the old guy.
Okay,
right?
Yeah,
Cup, guys? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But Cup,
because
the old veteran who was always scolding Hot Rod for being a silly villain.
Yeah, well, he could speak TV too, because these trash robots, they spoke in television phrases, and so he spoke to them in TV lingo, and all of a sudden they're best of friends, and they circle the Autobots, and they do their little dance around them, and it becomes a big part. Anyway, made perfect sense to me.
I mean, later on, Bumblebee only speaks in radio.
That's right.
But yet in this movie, Bumblebee's got full sentences.
Well, wasn't Bumblebee voiced by Casey Kasem? Mm-hmm. Am I remembering that right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
So Jason says there was a bridge episode between the second season and the movie called Scramble City, but it was only released in Japan. And all of the new characters introduced in this movie debuted in that episode.
Thank you for letting us know about that, Jason.
Yeah.
We're going to have to find that. I'm going to write that down.
And Cade says, I meant to explain why they transform into Earth vehicles, not the Matrix. That was it explained in the first miniseries. So, okay, well, maybe I'll go back and watch it because we are going to be covering the series next season of this show.
Oh boy.
Because we're going to be talking about the daytime series that were G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, She-Ra, and some other daytime series that were popular. I think Great Space Coaster and Magic School Bus were daytime shows. But anyway, Aubrey, says Dave Mattingly, I recommend the Weird Algorithm podcast.
Oh, Thank you, Dave.
And Zentron joins us and says, "No, I didn't like that dance sequence either." No, but the music was fire. That's the thing.
Try to be stupid.
Yeah. It was the soundtrack for this thing was epic. Tabby Cat says one of the oddities of Transformers is also the ability to shift their size, like Optimus Prime shifting from the size of a Peterbilt to a skyscraper. Exactly. And Jason says Weird Al returned to Transformers universe and Transformers Animated. He voiced Wreck-Gar. There we go. And of course, Cartoon Commotion. Personally, the Trash Planet dance scene was my favorite part of the movie.
Okay,
Really?
we're like spiritually connected.
See, okay, my favorite part of the movie, this may or may not surprise anyone, was Hot Rod having to race in the vat with the Sharkticons and creating the vortex. Anyway, that was my favorite part of the movie. And Tabby Cat says, could the Energon be able to manipulate the subatomic space between electrons and the nucleus to explain their size changing and shape change? You know what? That's as good an explanation for me. And Zentron says they were the Junkions, and the older guy was called Cup. And Cartoon Commotion says basically the Junkions are Cybertronians. The last 3 seasons explained the Cybertronians.
Cool.
Well, see, this is what I'm saying. If I went to see this movie, and I did, I saw this movie not having seen any of the series, I'm completely lost. I need some context. And anyway, and Dave Mattingly says, oh, stewardess, I speak junk. Some of you will get that. Some of you are like, huh? The Junkions, says Jason, were made because Mad Max came out while this movie was in production.
Oh, thank you. I forgot to talk about that. Yes. I mean, it was like a shout out to it completely.
Okay. So, yes. So, Jason says no, Cliff Jumper was voiced by Casey Kasem, and he did the countdown for the shuttle launch. Okay. And Bumblebee was voiced by Dan Gilvezan. I knew that. Okay. And Chris Vaglio does agree. Best soundtrack. And Cartoon Commotion says, Tabitha, they actually explained the size shifting was sort of explained. They can actually shift their mass. But is it because of the Energon? Is it the Energon that gives them that ability? Or is it just built into their robotic programming? And Tabby Cat says, just because a thing changes size doesn't mean it changes mass. I must look into that further. Okay, now this is getting
scientific. Deep. Yeah.
And Chris Vaglio says, airplane references are always gold. I love it. Love it. Oh my gosh. We're at the end of the comments. And we had to skip a few. But I think we got through most. And just reading through some of these comments, I understand. Oh, okay. So Zentron added a comment. In the first episode of the original Transformers, after they crashed on Earth, the restoration process by the ship's computer was to give them forms based on Earth vehicles. Okay. There you go.
And when they first landed, it's a lot farther back in our timeline than when the movie starts. Because when the movie starts at 2005, guys.
Yeah, that was far in the future in 1986.
Right? In 86, we were like, we're going to have flying vehicles. Okay, I just really want to touch a base on the human beings. Okay, so these human beings, yes, the two human beings, a father and son, Spike, and I forgot the kid's name all of a sudden. But so Spike gets, I think it's Spike is the father. He gets basically what we think is wiped out, and with Bumblebee, and all of a sudden, he's, at the very end, we find out he's still alive. And the son, who's never been in an exosuit, has to, at the last minute, save his father. which is a huge part of the movie because their connection to Earth is a lot of it is based on their human friends, that they've made because they believe in Optimus Prime and they believe in the Transformers. They believe in having a connection with them. And this young man, he's possibly lost his dad. He finds this moment in time that he has to save his father. So you have a very strong connection with society and surviving in this. And this young man has to shoot a weapon, I think, arm cannon out of the exosuit to save his dad. One shot. You get like one shot in this. This kid pulled it off. That is talent right there. He'd never worn this exosuit, and all of a sudden he has to transform. By the way, the fact that the kid's exosuit transforms into a car and he's laying on the ground. I mean, you see him and the wheels are like this. He's on the floor, and you're like, he picked it up so fast, so fast. So, I mean, there's little things in there if you're really paying attention to the movie. The shark scene, where they're running around and these sharks are staying in their form in the water and out of the water, and then they get commanded, and all of a sudden they're all transforming.
So Aubrey, his name is Daniel.
Daniel,
and Spike is his father.
Okay, Spike was his dad. Yeah, and they were like a permanent fixture for a lot of it.
Now this says in the recap of the story that Daniel saves his father Spike and the other consumed Autobots from Unicron's digestive system.
Yep, they are inside Unicron. And he's so big that honestly, the thing I thought of when the son, shot that bolt and the acid vat that he's dissolving all of these people and everything into, who runs the inside of Unicron? Is there a mini Unicron that's in charge of making sure all the levers and buttons? Because there was like levers and buttons and a whole mini world inside this planet-sized transformer. Somebody wasn't doing their job. They let the guys that he was eating get away, but I mean, we were happy about it. And at the end of the movie, and Hot Rod's taking his place, and everybody's like, yeah, I'm still like, but there are some that didn't make it, guys. They turned black, and they're not coming back.
Now,
so that trauma is real, guys. It still stays with you as from a kid.
Now, I'm reading one review because this film got horrible reviews from critics and fans alike. It flopped in the box office. But Leonard Moulton, who is a film historian and reviewer and someone I respect a lot, gave the picture the lowest possible rating and wrote, little more than an obnoxious feature-length toy commercial. Yes. That deafening rock score certainly doesn't help. I'm going to disagree with him about that. That score makes this movie great.
Wow, just took their knees out from underneath them. I don't agree. I think it was a movie worth watching. So
one of the criticisms was that, Dino De Laurentiis, who was one of the producers on this and creators of this of the Transformers aesthetic, said he made most of his characters are descended from Mad Max and Luke Skywalker, and I have learned the art of the civil insult. So was this movie his way of politely insulting the fans of Transformers?
Was he doing this? Or was he doing that to other people's manipulation of the IP?
I don't know. So he was, let me see. Yeah, it was distributed by him. So De Laurentiis Entertainment Group, directed by Nelson Shin, screenplay by Ron Friedman. Ron Friedman, by the way, is like legendary in animation scripts. So that's funny that De Laurentiis would say that, but he just distributed the film. We need to do some further study on that. So All right. So the reason, okay. So the reason for characters getting killed was based on their toy sales number. Exactly. This whole movie was designed to restart the toy franchise and to give it new life. And Tabby Cat says, Zentron, I love your cynicism. Well, that's not cynicism. That's a fact. I mean, it's stated in everybody has stated that was the reason they did this movie. And Cartoon Commotion says Unicron was a horribly funny realization in the end of the series. I loved his head just orbiting Cybertron at the end. That was kind of fun.
The whole sucking up everything around it.
and that was part of that animation that was super high quality. But that was actually one of the criticisms by critics, is that the animation was so inconsistent throughout this movie that it actually ended up making it less appeasing than the TV series. And Zentron says, thanks, though that really was the reason. That's right. We've already stated that they needed to rekindle the toy sales. And that's what makes it funnier, says Tabby.
Was there a Unicron? Does anybody know? Was there a Unicron toy?
There was.
Wait, so did he transform?
Well, yes. Now, I don't know if it was a part of the original toy line. Jason will tell us, but there was recently a HasLab crowdfunding for a Unicron playset and toy. Wow. I don't know if they did it back in the original 80s, but Jason will know. He's the collector. I don't like movie critics, he says. They hate every movie I love.
That's fair. That's fair. Same. I have a lot of cult classics I like. Tabby
says, Jason, nobody likes a critic. Well, I'm sorry that you don't like me. No, I'm not. Look, I am being critical of this movie. But I can always find things, even things that I don't really resonate with. I can always find things that I really like. And when we were talking about Coraline, I don't like that movie. That movie is creepy and weird to me, but what I like about it is the absolute artistry in the puppetry of the stop motion animation. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful to watch. Yeah. In this movie, some of the animated sequences are gorgeous. The top tier of Marvel and Rainbow Studios animation. It was great.
And some of them are like,
yeah, some of the scenes I was just like, that doesn't even hold up to the TV series. But what made this movie great, and what I love about this movie, is the soundtrack. I loved this soundtrack. Okay, so Dave Mattingly says the first movie that comes to my mind for me with Dino De Laurentiis is Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness.
And Jason said they had to tone down the Battle of Autobot City. The movie almost got a PG-13 rating. Really?
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of violence in there. I don't disagree. And let's talk about the fact that it said, shit, it's a kid's movie. And it cost back in 1986 to have a kid's movie say shit.
Well, it wasn't rated G, though. It was rated PG. So
I feel like, I don't know. Was that the first curse word ever on Transformers? Can somebody see if they can figure that out?
I'm almost 100% positive.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, because that was like, oh, Dad's gonna die. Shit.
So, by the way, we don't use that language on this show. So sponsors of Back of the Cereal Box, no, this okay. We're rated G, Aubrey. So sponsors of the show, please note that Aubrey's comments do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the producers or host of the show. Anyway, so Eli T. Cash brings up an interesting point. And this is something I had not considered until just this moment. Maybe, and we're talking about refreshing the toy line and breathing new life in the toy line. Maybe that's a similar reason why they did what they did with the new Star Wars, polarizing as it is. That might have been in the back of their minds, although it really hasn't fueled toy sales, the new Star Wars movies. And that's that's part of another reason kids today have moved away from what they call imaginative play or imagination play, where they're recreating stories and making up their own stories with action figures and dolls. And they've moved to the handheld digital play.
And guys, there's so much less invention and creativity in that.
Yeah.
Figurines, I get to collect them, but I'm playing with him for a reason. They were made to be played with. Use your imagination. It helps stretch your boundaries in your mind.
Yep. And Eli T. Cash says, creepy and weird. John, you hang out with me. No comment. Actually, if you guys didn't see last week's episode, we filmed it at Gallatin Comic-Con, Marvel versus DC. Eli appeared live on camera and actually did a really great job. I was very proud of you, Eli. I was nervous, but very proud of you afterwards. And then Zentron says, not sure where I've put him, so I can't check its maker's date, but I do have an old Unicron toy. Ooh. So they did make one back in the day, and then they recently did the HasLab Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign. And apparently that Unicron from HasLab is scale. It's huge, enormous. And Zentron or Jason is going to say the HasLab Unicron is the size of a small child. They tried to make it back in the 80s and it was too expensive. It was internally codenamed the Divorce Maker.
That sounds like it takes up a fourth of a room, guys. You need a class Unicron.
And Zentron answers your question, Aubrey. First proper cuss word, yes.
It was in the movie. I didn't.
And Tabby Cat says, "Oh, LOL. You know we love you, Johnny. I love you too, Tabby." And that's funny. Eli T. Cash did great, and then he said, and then I made a comment about Aubrey's Poison Ivy costume, about it giving me a rash. Yeah, but that was funny. That was pretty funny, Eli. You kind of impressed me. All right, so we are through the comments, and I'm sure there are going to be plenty more people taking issue with this. I mean, look, this is a long movie. It took me several days to get through it during the season of open enrollment, but I might go back. Cade, I will take your advice, and for next season, we are going to be covering the original daily animated series, and so I will start watching some of the OG Transformers. I cannot promise you that I will become a fan. I was a G.I. Joe fan. I just was not a Transformers fan. So
G.I. Joe, I'm not going to lie, that's going to be a tough one for me.
Okay. Well, there we go. So,
but I'm ready for He-Man and She-Ra.
And you'll probably be all over Strawberry Shortcake. Anyway, Dave Mattingly says, Aubrey, can you help me scratch my itch? And that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, bonjour. And Aubrey, what do you have going on this week? Anything exciting? People can follow you at Dawning Eve K on Instagram.
Yep, I'm going to be getting ready for the holiday season. I've got some face painting gigs, some birthdays coming up. I'm going to be also walking in a parade for our tree lighting ceremony with a few friends as some elves. So we're going to be waving and yelling, Merry Christmas, like insane people until we get done, and then we'll have some adult fun.
Absolutely awesome. So, we have a couple more in this series of Saturday Matinee Movies. We're not going to get to everyone's favorite during the series. There's so many. We just can't possibly cover them all in an 8-week period. But I don't think it's going to be it's 6 weeks. But we'll do this again next fall. So start getting those lists ready, what you want us to talk about. Jason has already mentioned G.I. Joe, the movie, is awesome. And that is on my list for this series. I don't know if we'll get to it. Because I know, Aubrey, you want to talk about Land Before Time. And So that's on the list. My personal favorite of the matinee animated movies is the movie that saved Disney, The Little Mermaid. And so that's on my list. And we might get to some more, we might not, but next year, next time we do this series, we will definitely get to all of these great IPs that you guys want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is it for the show. Guys, remember, if you do like the show and you want to support us, you can do so at patreon.com/serialboxpodcast and get exclusives. There's already some exclusives up there, but there will be more coming. An exclusive RSS feed. We are going to be moving Back Issue Breakfast Club specifically to a Patreon only exclusive. So if you want to see our reviews of back issue comics, make sure you become a subscriber at patreon.com/serialboxpod. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to go. So if you like the show, give it a thumbs up, comment, share it, give us a review on. Yep.
Subscribe. Where are we?
Like and subscribe.
There.
Whatever platform you're watching, subscribe, click the notification bell. If you're listening, make sure you follow and put it on your follow list on Apple or Spotify. And until the next time, love you, mean it. We'll catch you on the back of the cereal box. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, bonjour.